Welcome to Wrist Swap. My name is Harrison. Today we're going to talk over my 10 regrets in watch collecting or watches in general, and kind of ways that I suggest you to try to avoid them. You'll notice a theme in some of them, but we're going to talk through what those look like and how to hopefully have an easier experience than I did in some of these regards. The first one is selling too quickly watches under $1,000. Now, granted, no one has a limitless budget, myself included, especially early on. The first watch I bought was $300 Khaki King. That was a lot of money. It is a lot of money, right? And I felt ridiculous having spent that much on a mechanical watch, on a relatively outdated, an outdated piece of equipment or apparel. It was the most expensive thing on my person every time I put it on. And, the problem that I have is that I sold that watch and all these others to buy my Rolex Explorer, and I don't regret the decision. I'm happy that I did it. The problem is I think I rushed it a little bit, and one of those I wish I could have kept, which is the Tudor Oyster Date. Especially when you sell these things on eBay, I think I lost like 15% of the value of the watch, plus all the taxes and fees and stuff on top of that. And so what I ended up with is I think I sold it for like 350 bucks or something like that, maybe 400. And that, it was over polished, it wasn't in the best shape, and it was a while ago, but now I find myself continually looking for a Tudor Prince Oyster Date again, because I loved how it made me feel. And, that isn't something that you can, if I just waited, I could have just gotten the money together and sold the other ones. It's just when you bond with a specific watch, don't sell it too quickly, especially if it's a watch you can't make a lot of your money back out of. These things tend to hurt. Most people don't make their money back on these watches when they sell them, myself included. So you want to make sure that you're making the right decision at that time and not rushing it. So the number two thing also has to do with not rushing it, and that is to not put yourself in a position to have to sell. Mainly what I mean is, granted, no one should spend all of their disposable income on watches. That does not make any sense. But what I'm saying is if you have a specific amount of money you want in your total collection, and that's how I am, I don't want more than a certain amount of money in the whole collection. The problem is that, if I end up buying something, for example, I bought the Explorer 2 when I was in Geneva on my honeymoon, and I'm happy that I did it, but it put me in the position to have to sell the Speedmaster to make sense for the rules I put in place for myself and my collection at that time. And so, granted, I think I made the right decision in the end, but there were a month or two there where I was really questioning if I'd made the right call. And if I resold that Explorer, I would be out the money of the loss of the sale, but I put myself in this position that I told myself I was going to sell the Speedmaster. And so it was complicated. The point is, just don't put yourself in that position. Make these decisions comfortably. Be happy with the purchase. Enjoy it. And don't kind of fuss with all that stuff. It's not worth it. Number three, not wearing the watch. When you buy a watch, wear it. When I bought the Speedmaster, I hadn't ever bought a watch brand new. And when I brought it home, I had a hard time wearing it because I kept thinking, if I scratch it, I won't be able to resell it if I change my mind. But that's not the right way to buy a watch. If you buy a watch planning to wear it, and then you don't wear it because you don't know if you want to wear it, then don't buy the watch, right? So I ended up starting wearing it. I loved it. You can find that in my review on the Speedmaster. But the point is, if you buy something, be ready to scratch it. Be willing to scratch it because, it's going to happen. And if you decide to polish it, then you're good. You can get it repolished. And most people can very easily polish out the scratches that they have in their watches, and you wouldn't even notice that was ever touched or ever polished. Now, polishing is a whole other subject. Some people hate it, but most of these watches are, a consumer good. There's millions of them out there. You're not gonna, if you polish it because it makes you happy, go for it. That's my attitude. Either way, point is, wear the watch. Enjoy the watch. If you buy it, wear it. Number four is specific to me. I got into the watchmaking hobby kind of really fast. And I think the thing that I would suggest to people is if you plan on getting into watchmaking, breaking these things down and putting them back together, definitely try to see if you can't shadow a watchmaker first or help out. There are classes in the Midwest too that you can do a little watchmaking stuff. Do that stuff first. Get a feel for if you enjoy it or if not. before you dump a bunch of money into watchmaking tools. Because what I'll tell you is, if you plan on servicing a movement, actually servicing it, taking everything out, cleaning it, putting it all back in, oiling it, all that good stuff, there are so many steps and a lot of time. And I don't have that much time, so I end up not doing as much as I wish I could. And there's a lot of money in watchmaking tools here. It's a very expensive tool set, because you'll find yourself in a situation where you go, oh man, if I only had that specific tool that helped me put a shock absorber back, I wouldn't have spent 3 hours putting that shock absorber back with tweezers. That sort of thing you'll find a lot, and it's very niche. The other suggestion I would say is start with big movements and the same one over and over and over and over again. Like, service the same watch. Don't do different ones every 2 seconds, and don't start with chronographs. I did a chronograph way too soon, and it was very tough. I'm still working on it, and it's been like 6 months. So number 5, brand importance, not putting too much or too little emphasis on it. So brand can be important sometimes, and it was for me. For example, when I bought my Rolex Explorer, that was a really big piece of why I got it. I kept thinking, my God, I'm wearing a Rolex. That was something that gave me a certain feeling, and you know, that might be pretentious or whatnot. I didn't tell anyone that I was wearing one, but it gave me a certain feeling, a certain confidence. It gave me a feeling of accomplishment because I got it for myself, because I had accomplished, you know, starting a company that was getting to be successful at that time. And so that was a piece of it. That was a very important piece of it. So that's something that I think you should consider, is that brand, it should be a piece of your mind. Don't let anyone tell you, don't buy a Rolex, right? And you see all these people that hate Rolex, and so you're not going to buy one. If it actually makes you feel like it would be important to you, then get one. You know, they're an important and large watch company for a reason. That being said, don't make it everything. There are great brands out there. Grand Seiko is a great example of that. Although I don't like their bracelets very much, they have great watches. And getting out there and seeing those could be helpful in getting a better understanding of what you like to wear. I like Breitling a lot. I don't have any yet because I have a certain budget allocated to watch my whole watch collection, but you know, that's probably going to be my next watch. Or Panerai, right? Because you know, you kind of look at these other brands because they have great offerings too and different experiences. Buying the hype watch. This one is an expensive issue. So in my case, I make watch YouTube videos. I can't source all of these watches to review because my AD doesn't help out as much as I wish that they did. For whatever reason, they don't want to lend me any of the watches to talk through. So in order to get them into my area to where I can actually wear them for a couple days around the house, I have to buy them, and I physically have to buy them and then sell them. And the hype watches specifically sell for a pretty penny over retail on the used market. So just keep that in mind when you buy these. The 58, the Black Bay 58, I bought that, you know, just a little bit after it was hyped, but it was still pretty hyped up, trust me. And then I sold it again, and I think on that total deal lost like $700 or $800, just because I bought it, and then, you know, there was the blue out at that time, and there was a new model out. So the watch that's in right now, unless you know you're going to keep it forever, just understand that you're buying it at an elevated price point, and don't let all the reviews influence you. Try to keep that in check a little bit. I'm guilty of this too, but try to keep that in check. Number 7, trying to get bang per buck. Now, that phrase is used all the time. Like, this is just great bang for buck. And I think I may have used it on some of my reviews, but the problem is if you let that be your decider, you're gonna pick watches just because they're good values, not because of the way they make you feel. You need to buy a watch because of the way it makes you feel. I have done that. I bought watches because I'm like, it's a great value, right? And then I turn around and I sell it because what I really wanted was this other thing, right? So that phrase specifically, I have a problem with because I think it burns into our brain, that part of our brain that wants like a coupon or a deal, right? That wants to save some money and get just the same kind of thing. And we're all guilty of this. We all want the best part of quality or the best amount of quality for the least amount of price. But that being said, if you have something you want, save up and get that thing so that way you don't want to buy anything else. Right now, with my Explorers and this Pelagos, I haven't wanted to buy anything because these are all the ones that I wanted to finish the collection I wanted of 3 watches. So I haven't had any itching to do it. But a lot of that comes from the fact that I kept making the mistake of buying something else because it was a good value. So just keep that in mind. Just know, I was looking at GMT watches that were about like $2,000 or maybe $3,000, or the Tudor Black Bay GMT, because I didn't want to buy a Rolex GMT. When what I really wanted was either an Explorer 2 or GMT Master 2. I got the Explorer 2. I have no problems. I don't need any of the others. I don't want to go towards the Tudor and drop the Explorer 2. I'm very happy. So that's an example, right? Just make sure you're not picking it because of the bang per buck. Keep that in mind. Number 8, watching too many YouTube watch reviews. Now, I get it. I want you to watch my reviews. The more people that watch my reviews, the more my message can get out there, and hopefully we can have a more straightforward, honest community that doesn't hype up things too much. I get being excited and enthusiastic, but I don't want to overhype something that's not, that amazing, right? Like a movement technology that actually isn't that amazing. I'll tell you, I don't think it's that amazing. That sort of thing. Either way, point is, don't watch too many of these darn videos, because what you're going to do is you're going to start questioning your own collection or getting interested in other watches. There's nothing wrong with watching the occasional review. I watch them still a good amount from a lot of different YouTubers, but I don't watch them as much as I did in the early days, because in the early days when I did it all the time, I had a list of like 50 watches that I was like, I gotta get my hands on, I gotta experience it, I gotta buy it. And then 2 weeks later, you'd add, oh, I like that one more than this one. And then it's always changing. You're never gonna have all of them, right? And so I think the important part is to just keep that in mind, especially if you buy a watch. If you buy a watch, try not to go out and watch reviews of people talking about the watch you just bought, because they might say things that bother you. I've said a couple things about the Black Bay 58 that people have commented, oh, well, I just bought one and now I can't not see it, right? So just keep that in mind. Try not to watch too many of these videos. It'll make you potentially unhappy with your own collection. Number 9, throwing away old watches. Now, I did this. I don't know why I did it. Stupid. But I had like all my watches from when I was a kid. My brother gave me a Fossil watch, which I really loved at the time. I bought a pocket watch when I was in 4th grade. I spent 20 bucks at Walmart, Timex. I loved it. I don't know why I got into pocket watches. There was a kid in class that had one, and so I thought it was cool, and so I wanted a pocket watch. Very weird. Either way, point is, I threw all of them away when I got into this like watch collecting thing 4 years ago. I thought, none of these are like acceptable or exciting enough watches. I want to show a picture of my collection, and it will have all these great watches in it, but not those. Those don't have a place in this collection. I throw them away. Now, I get a little cutthroat about throwing away things around my house, but that was a dumb decision. I wish I hadn't done that. Those 2 watches specifically, the one my brother gave me and that pocket watch, I should have kept. It would have been cool. So just don't do it don't ever do that. If you have old watches and you find this video, please listen to me. Don't throw them away. Just keep them. Put them in a box somewhere and put them on the shelf. You don't have to throw them away. Number 10, the last one is overanalyzing. Do not overanalyze your collection. Don't overanalyze your strategy. Don't overanalyze, what you should or shouldn't have. You need to have a Speedmaster in your collection. You need to have a spring drive in your collection. You need to have a quartz movement in your collection. Like, you don't need any of these things. First off, you don't need the watches in general, but you definitely don't need specific things in your collection. I'm saying this because I'm guilty of it. It's a regret that I have. You end up looking at your collection and thinking, I need a diver, I need a dress watch, I need an everyday watch, I need a beater. Oh, that's right. It'd be great if I also had a spring drive movement and I had a quartz movement, especially a high accuracy quartz movement. That would be really cool. And then I also kind of need a moon phase because I don't have a high complication. Like, you could go endlessly, or you could, you could have a list, a rule, a tier list. I need a pilot's watch, a dive watch, and every day. All that stuff, you're overanalyzing it. Buy what you love. Walk in the store, the first couple that jump out at you for a reason. The next one on my list that I need to buy is a Breitling Navitimer. It was the first watch that ever jumped out to me. I overanalyzed it. I thought, well, I don't need it. I'll never wear it here. I'll never do this. It's, whatever reason. But I'm pretty sure when I have it, I'll find time to wear it. Maybe not out and about because it's loud and I don't wear loud watches. But around the house, it'll give me a feeling. And on the weekends, that sort of thing. So just keep that in mind. Don't overanalyze your collection. Have some fun with it. Enjoy what you have, because what you have is what you have. What you don't have is what you don't have. You don't have it. Why yearn for something you don't have instead of appreciating what you do have? You spent a lot of money on these collections. Most of us have spent thousands of dollars on these collections. Just don't overanalyze. Try to enjoy what you have. That would be my last parting message. Enjoy, right? So if you have any other regrets or feedback, leave them in the comments below. Sorry for the long video. Do me a favor and subscribe. Talk more about this stuff. Any other feedback, you can reach me on Instagram at wrist_swap. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.